Gravity is a law, but pressure is a punishment. Humans live at the bottom of an ocean of air, but that air is light. It is easy. Move the location to the ocean, and the game changes. For every 10 meters of descent, the pressure adds 1 atmosphere. It stacks up. By the time the journey reaches the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the Challenger Deep, the weight is equivalent to an elephant standing on a human thumb. It is enough to compress air until it becomes a solid. It is enough to shatter bone. It is a place where biology should not exist. It is a place where the only things that should remain are dust and silence. Yet, when the lights of the submersible click on, piercing the absolute blackness of the Hadal Zone, the dust moves. It swirls. Life is here. But it is not life as the surface understands it. This is not about being fast, or smart, or big. This is about chemistry. This is about building a bunker inside the body. The journey to this spot takes hours. It is a long, slow fall through the water column. The sun vanishes quickly. The blue turns to a bruised purple, then to a heavy, suffocating black. The plankton vanish. The fish vanish. The water becomes clear, almost sterile, because so few things can survive the squeeze. The thermometer hits just a few degrees above freezing. It is a refrigerator that crushes Dot at 11,000 meters down. The submersible touches the bottom. The floor is covered in a beige silt. This is diatomaceous ooze, the microscopic skeletons of trillions of creatures that lived and died near the surface millions of years ago. They rained down, creating a soft, muddy carpet. But looking closer, the carpet is alive. Small, pale creatures are scurrying across the mud. They look like shrimp, or perhaps like the pill bugs found in a garden. These are amphipods. Specifically, Hirondellea gigas. They are not monsters in size. They are only a few centimeters long, but they are monsters in durability. In this environment, calcium carbonate, the stuffed bones and shells, are made of dissolves. The pressure is so high, it forces the water to become acidic to calcium. A normal crab would find its shell melting off its back. Its skeleton would turn to mush. But these amphipods are hard. They are armored. They are hitting the viewport of the sub with a distinct click. They are thriving. How? The secret lies in the mud they eat. The sediment at the bottom of the trench is rich in minerals, including traces of aluminum. On the surface, living things rarely use aluminum. It is not a biological building block. In fact, in high doses, it can be toxic. But down here, the rules are rewritten. The amphipod swallows the mud. Inside its gut, a unique chemical reaction takes place. It separates the aluminum from the silt. It processes it, and then it secretes it. The creature creates a layer of aluminum hydroxide gel that covers its body. It essentially wraps itself in a chemical shield. This gel prevents the calcium carbonate from dissolving. It acts as a pressure suit. It is a metallic exoskeleton. This little bug has figured out how to use industrial metallurgy to survive the crushing fist of the ocean. It is a cyborg of nature's making. The existence of this creature challenges every assumption about life. Biology is supposed to be carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, calcium. It is supposed to be squishy. But here is an organism using metal to reinforce its existence. If nature can do this on Earth, simply because the pressure demanded it, what is happening on other worlds? Think about the moon Europa, orbiting Jupiter. It has an ocean beneath a miles-thick crust of ice. The pressure there would be immense. The chemistry would be alien. If a shrimp can build an aluminum suit in the Pacific, could a crab on Europa build a suit of silicon? Could there be fish made of glass? The Mariana Trench is not just a deep hole. It is a testing ground for the impossible. The narrative shifts to the feeding frenzy. A bait trap is dropped from the surface. It lands with a thud, kicking up a cloud of aluminum-rich dust. The smell of mackerel permeates the water. The response is immediate. They come from everywhere. Hundreds of them. Thousands. A swarm of pale, writhing legs and antennae. They bury the bait. They strip it to the bone in hours. They are ravenous. Living in a desert means that when food arrives, the manners go out the window. They eat until they are bloated, storing the energy, repairing their metal shields. But amidst this marvel of evolution, there is a jarring sight. A piece of the landscape does not fit. It is not a rock. It is not a biological entity. It drifts along the bottom, pushed by a weak eddy current. It is white. It is crinkled. It is a plastic grocery bag. The irony is crushing. Humanity has never physically set foot here. Only a handful of people have ever descended this deep in machines. Yet, our fingerprint is already waiting. The plastic does not dissolve. The pressure compresses it, but the polymers hold. It sits there, a ghost from the supermarket, tangled in the sediment next to the aluminum-armored amphipods. This contrast paints a grim picture. On one side, millions of years of evolution, creating a perfect, metallic adaptation to survive hell. On the other side, a synthetic bag made in a second, used for 10 minutes, and discarded to drift for eternity. The amphipods crawl over the plastic. They test it with their antennae. It is not food. It is not mud. It is just an obstacle. The scientists watching the screens in the sub are silent. They came looking for the secrets of life, and they found the garbage of civilization. But the plastic also raises a question about the future. These creatures adapt. They learned to use aluminum. Will they, in 10,000 years, learn to use the plastic? Will the next generation of deep-sea monsters incorporate microplastics into their shells, creating a polymer-aluminum hybrid armor? Nature is a scavenger. It uses what is available. The environment of the Hadal Zone is static. It does not change. There are no seasons. There is no day or night. There is only the eternal dark and the eternal wait. The amphipods are the kings here. There are no sharks to eat them. Sharks cannot survive the metabolic cost of this depth. There are no giant squids. Their bodies would fail. It is a kingdom of the small and the tough dot inside the body of the amphipod. Enzymes are working that would denature instantly at the surface. Their proteins are folded in tight, complex knots to prevent them from being pulled apart by the pressure. They are biological diamonds. If brought to the surface without a pressurized chamber, they would die. Not from lack of water, but because they would explode. Their bodies are pushing out with the same force that the ocean pushes in. Remove the ocean, and the balance is lost. They are prisoners of the deep, just as we are prisoners of the surface. The exploration of the trench is often compared to space, but it is harder. Radio waves travel through space. They do not travel through water. We are cut off. The sub is on a tether, or relying on sound waves to talk to the mothership. If something goes wrong, there is no rescue. The pressure would find the weakness in the hull, and the end would be instantaneous. The human inside would become part of the biology before the brain. Even registered the crack. The isolation breeds a specific kind of purity. The ecosystem is simple. Mud, bacteria, aluminum bugs. It is a closed loop. Or it was, until the pollutants arrived. We have found PCBs industrial chemicals banned decades ago in the fatty tissues of these amphipods. The poison produced by factories in the 1970s has sunk, settled, and been eaten by the creatures at the bottom of the world. The trench is a drain. Everything eventually falls down. The video captures a close-up of the amphipod. Its eyes are gone. It does not need them, but its sensory hairs are incredibly sensitive. It feels the vibration of the sub's thrusters. It recoils. It is a survivor. It survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. It survived the ice ages. It survived the shifting of continents. It simply stayed down, ate the mud, and built its armor. The concept of non-carbon life is usually science fiction. We imagine silicon monsters on Mars, but the Hirondellea gigas hints that we don't need to leave Earth to find biology that breaks the rules. It isn't fully non-carbon, but it is integrating the inorganic in a way that blurs the line. It is bridging the gap between biology and geology. It is a living rock dot as the sub releases its ballast weights to begin the long ascent back to the sun. The lights fade. The trench returns to darkness. The swarm disperses. The plastic bag settles back into the ooze. The aluminum scavengers go back to their endless work of processing the seabed. They are the ultimate realists. They do not dream of the sky. They do not fear the weight. They just endure. The final image is the darkness itself. It is not empty. It is heavy with presence. It is a reminder that the surface world is fragile, loud, and temporary. The deep world is solid, silent, and permanent. And down there, in the crusher, life has found a way to plate itself in metal and keep going. The question isn't whether life exists on other planets. The question is whether we are ready to recognize it when it doesn't look like us.